The Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering (SCOMO) was established by the federal government in September 2005 in compliance with the provisions of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2004, which was subsequently repealed and amended to Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011, as amended, and most recently to Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. SCOMO was created as part of measures for the implementation of the Financial Action Task Force (FATF) recommendations on anti-money laundering, combating the financing of terrorism (AML-CFT) in Nigeria. The FATF requires countries to implement 40 recommendations which are considered as international standard for combating money laundering and terrorist financing, as well as the financing of the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. The recommendations include, among others, the establishment of legal and institutional framework for the effective implementation of the AML-CFT measures in all countries. This led to the enactment of the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 and the Terrorism Prevention Act 2011 as amended in Nigeria. SCOMO was created to implement specific sections of the Act in line with the FATF recommendations for the implementation of AML-CFT measures within designation non-financial businesses and professions sectors in Nigeria. Today on The Eagle, we shall be discussing the new SCOMO and the 2022 Money Laundering Act. Hello and thanks for joining us on another episode of The Eagle. My name is Aisha Muhammad.
My name is Abdurrashid Bawa, the Executive Chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. I want to use this medium to urge all Nigerians to eschew all manner of electoral fraud, either through vote buying, vote selling, or fraudulent manipulations of electoral processes. I'm fully persuaded that we can run our electioneering processes devoid of any form of criminality. Let us all be committed to a free, fair, and credible dealings in the exercise of our democratic rights. Thank you.
Report any electoral fraud to the following numbers. You can also send any relevant information to info@efcc.gov.ng or to all our social media platforms at official EFCC. Also, use the EFCC mobile app, The Eagle Eye, to report. Your vote is your power. Protect it. Before the interview on the importance of the Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering (SCOMO) in conducting business in Nigeria, let's take this report.
Nigeria's 2023 Presidential and National Assembly elections, which took place on 25th February 2023, witnessed the full presence of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) at its many polling units across the nation. Officers of the commission were saddled with the responsibility of monitoring the elections and ensuring that issues of vote trading and other electoral fraud were dealt with. Few hours to the commencement of the elections, officers of the EFCC intensified last-minute vigorous enlightenment and sensitization campaigns against vote buying and all forms of electoral fraud. Officers deployed to the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT took their campaign to media houses, bureau de change operators and INEC officials as they sensitized them on the need for collaboration to forestall electoral malpractices with a view to delivering a transparent, credible and peaceful election. This was in addition to discouraging members of the public from allowing themselves to be used by politicians. On the field, officers of the EFCC arrested a number of people involved in electoral frauds like vote buying and others. In Gusau, Zamfara State, The team, led by Commander of the EFCC Aliu Yusuf, arrested 2 alleged vote buyers, Mustafa Abubakar and Isa Abdullahi. Abubakar was arrested with a sum of 107,000 naira and tickets specially designed for voters as evidence for voting his party before collection of the money. On his part, Abdullahi was arrested for buying votes with wrappers concealed in the boot and backseat of a Peugeot 406 saloon. In Benin, Edo State, operatives arrested 3 persons for being in possession of several permanent voters' cards, PVCs. One of the suspects, Afekana Esther, who was arrested with 20 PVCs belonging to different people, claims that the cards were handed over to her by one Shegun Osaimokai and a 73-year-old woman, Comfort Muoneke. The suspects have made useful statements and will be arraigned in court as soon as investigation is completed. In Guma local government area of Benue State, one Dr. Cletus Tioka found his way into the net of the EFCC at the polls. Dr. Tioka, a lecturer with the Sawan Taka University, formerly known as the University of Agriculture, Makodi, Benue State, was arrested at the RCM polling unit in Daudu with a sum of 306,700 naira stashed in his car. He was released after volunteering a statement to the commission. Other suspects were arrested in Kano, Cross River, and Kaduna States, as well as the Federal Capital Territory. A team of operatives from the EFCC, who were on duty monitoring the presidential and National Assembly elections, was attacked by political thugs near Chief's Palace in Buari Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory. The attack followed the arrest of a man for allegedly masterminding a well-orchestrated vote-buying procedure at the polling unit situated at Science Primary School, Buari. The team had arrested the suspect and retrieved from him a list of beneficiaries he had already paid some money to through an online banking app. It was at the point of moving the suspect away from the polling unit that thugs attacked, smashing the windshield of the Commission's patrol van. They only retreated into their hideouts after the Commission's operatives responded by releasing warning shots, after which members of the Joint Task Force team, comprising the Department of State Services, the Nigeria Police and others, arrived at the scene. The incident was immediately reported at the Buari Police Station. Another team of EFCC operatives on election monitoring duty at Unit 001, Man Primary School behind Cherubim Junction along Wedral Road, Owerri, Imo State, was shot at by unknown persons in 2 black Prado SUVs and 1 white Hilux outside the polling unit, suspected to be buying votes. The EFCC team responded, forcing them to flee the scene. The incident was formally reported to DCP Operations Haruna Femi at the Imo State Police Command. Ojo Chokutami Eche, reporting for The Eagle.
Next on the program is Conviction Update with Abbas Abubakar Umar. Over to you, Abbas.
Hard work is one way the Nigerian youths can be insulated from corrupt practices, unhealthy and unprofitable engagement, and focus more on socially beneficial activities, as there is no shortcut to success. On the EFCC's convictions report for the 6th week, that is from 6th to 10th February 2023, the EFCC secured a total of 38 convictions. The Port Harcourt Command led with 13 convictions, Ibadan got 6, while the Kano Command secured 5. Abuja and the Kaduna Commands each got 3. The headquarters got 2, Lagos 2, Uyo 2, while the Benin and Ilorin each got 1. This brings the total convictions for the 6th week in the year to 38. The truth is that youths in other countries are into innovations, manufacturing and pace-setting inventions in the knowledge of the economy. As the world is waiting for new thinkers, the EFCC challenges Nigerian youth to fit into the mold of world changers. We must shun economic and financial crimes, say no to corruption, yahoo, and say something when you see something. Back to you, Aisha.
So many questions are being asked on what SCOMO is all about and why people need to register with SCOMO. Also, questions border on the consequences of not registering with SCOMO. Our interview segment with Golden Onwura and the director SCOMO, Daniel Ise, will provide answers and more to these questions. Over to you, Golden.
Thank you, Aisha. Hello and welcome to the interview segment. I am Golden Onwura. In 2022, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, assented to the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022, which repealed the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011. The Act provides statutory backing for the establishment of SCOMO under the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. SCOMO has been on the lips of every business person and is mentioned in most financial transactions. Here with me is the director of SCOMO in the EFCC, in the person of Daniel Ise. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
What SCOMO means and how it relates to the business public.
Oh, thank you very much. SCOMO, which is SCUML, means Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering. It's actually an acronym. So it's pronounced SCOMO, but I know that a lot of people have different pronunciation for it. But basically, it's one of those frameworks or platform to prevent the occurrence of money laundering. So that is why it is, I would say, very cleverly named control unit. So it is meant as a control measure against the occurrence of money laundering. So basically, to be very clear, is that SCOMO means Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering.
So why do businesses and professionals need to register for SCOMO?
Across the globe, the issue of fighting money laundering places a demand that there should be platforms, there should be institutions to monitor activities of financial institutions and designated non-financial businesses and profession. And the only way you can have them monitored is to have these entities register with a nationally designated institution, in this case, SCOMO under the EFCC. And that is why businesses that have been adjudged or that have over the period, be taken to be vulnerable to money laundering and terrorist financing are expected to register with SCOMO to put them under the purview of supervisory framework of SCOMO, such that we'll have the details in our database, activities happening around them, we'll monitor, and by so doing, possibly preventing the occurrence of money laundering through those businesses.
Okay, that brings me to a question that a lot of people ask. Some people, they were scammed. They keep asking you, does it mean that registering with SCOMO authenticates a business, or maybe certifies a business to be a legal business?
Well, it's really not to say it authenticates a business. First and first, you have to show evidence of registration with the Corporate Affairs Commission. It is a second layer registration, if I may use that word. So if you register with SCOMO, what that means is that you have demonstrated willingness to comply with the anti-money laundering standard and measures of government. And that puts you as one that is ready to follow what the law says you should do, one that is open to be monitored, and one that is open to share the available books for relevant institution or competent authority to look into those books. So it does not in any way give you that you are free from fraud. You could be registered and play a role in any fraudulent activity. What that means is that even though you are registered with us, we will always check through your activities, either off-site or on the spot or on-site, to see what you're doing. And in some cases, we can see that even though you are registered with it, there's a likelihood that some of these entities can still participate in fraudulent activities.
Recently, the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2022 was enacted into law, and SCOMO was prominently mentioned in that law. What has changed, and what are the implications for business owners?
I think it's very, very important that we have that Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 signed into law. Before then, SCUMO was actually, like you noted earlier, was in existence way back in 2005, and there was no robust legal framework, for SCUMO to be able to do what they are expected or mandated to do. And that became a challenge because SCUMO, strictly speaking, was considered not to be a legal entity. So we, as a department, we were caught in between being run by the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment and being supported through the personnel and other support from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. And it became very apparent through the analysis that was conducted in 2019, which was called the Mutual Evaluation Exercise, where Nigeria was rated fairly poorly on account of not having a very clear legislative framework for SCUMO. And so the necessary steps had to be taken, and these steps, gave birth to the legal framework you refer to now, which is the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. What that means is that today, SCUMO has a very clear legal recognition under the laws. SCUMO has powers clearly given to it under the laws, under Section 17 of that particular legislation, which is the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act. And furthermore, SCUMO today is no longer one that is, not clearly situated within an institution. Today, SCUMO is clearly situated, within the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. So the language of the law is that SCUMO is established as a department in the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. So further to that, the Office of the Attorney General has been given powers to issue regulation, which will give SCUMO the powers to mete out what we call administrative sanction. And to a very good extent, to a very large extent, thankfully to the Office of the Attorney General and to other critical stakeholders, this regulation has been made and has been passed. So that again has given SCUMO the power to issue what we call monetary fines, administrative sanction. So we'll be more active in the field to see where entities that are not complying are either prosecuted and where we think it is more desirable to implement administrative sanction program, we implement the necessary administrative sanction program to those entities. All in all, what that law has done is to create a very robust and effective legal framework for SCUMO to be able to, carry out its mandate. So it's a very helpful instrument, and I think that is the way to go.
Okay, let's look at people's awareness of SCUMO. How enlightened do you think the public are on the activities of SCUMO, and what modalities do you have in place to reach them?
Yeah, in terms of enlightenment, knowledge about SCUMO, I think it's a continuous process. It's a process that is not just, you're going to attain 100% one day. So there's been a renewed energy towards creating that awareness since 2021, I would say. If you follow that, the Commission has taken very, very bold steps to ensure that the public gets to understand the workings of SCUMO, the importance of SCUMO, how SCUMO is connected to the preventive angle of the Commission, as an institution of government. So the Commission has engaged, different media outfits to sensitize the public, NTA, channels and all that, both print and even the social media handles, talking about SCUMO. And even this level of sensitization has been driven to local languages.
Sometime last year, 2022, SCUMO stopped issuing certificates to business owners.
Yes.
What was the cause of this?
Yes, we had a situation where we had to, like we say, a pause, and it took just barely a few weeks. What occurred was that if you remember, May 2022, the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act was assented to by Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the implication of that is that the old legal framework upon which we were issued certificates became a non-existent law, because the passage of the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 repealed that of 2011. And on the face of the certificate, the authority upon which the certificates are issued is always anchored on the provisions of the law. So the old certificate we had was making reference to Money Laundering Prevention Act 2011, which had been repealed. So technically speaking, those certificates will not stand the test of time. So we needed to create a quick response by creating a pause and getting new certificate issued and reflecting the new provisions in the Money Laundering Prevention Act 2022 in the new certificate. And that took a bit of while, and that is the reason.
Let's talk about issues surrounding SCUMO registration.
Yes.
How long does it take to get the certificate after registration and approval?
Yeah, you said certificate and approval. Certificate and approval, processing and approval. Let me use the word processing and approval. You apply, it is processed. If you meet it by the entire parameters, it is approved, it is printed, and it is issued. If all that is done, on the average, we keep saying that it takes a few days, because if you're in Abuja, once it is approved on that same day, you can come and pick it up. But if you're outside of Abuja, it will take a few days, because we are collaborating with EMS, which is part of NIPOST, to ensure that we courier the certificates to the areas the applicants have identified or indicated as pickup areas. And as you may be aware, pickup areas are available in all of the EFCC commands at no cost to the applicants. My advice to DNPPs is to register with SCUMO. Registration with SCUMO is free. We are here for you, and you can reach us on our hotlines, on our email, helpdesk@scumo.efcc.gov.ng. Register with SCUMO to avoid sanctions.
Thank you very much, Daniel Isei, for doing justice to that topic and for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
There you have it. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Ensure you register your business with SCUMO. Remember, SCUMO registration is not an indication that a business has been certified fraud-free. So make sure you do your due diligence before involving yourself in any business transaction. Now back to Aisha for the rest of the program.
You heard Daniel Isei there. Registration with SCUMO is free. And please do register to avoid being sanctioned. Do the right thing, always.
Election is here again, the current story come again to use money, deceive us again, yo. But you see, never again, make I sell my vote for gain and suffer another 4 years again.
EFCC ya kama da kana bada kudin voti, zaka sha wuya a cikin kurkuku da aiki.
Obuna EFCC jideki ebina zumo bure vote. Aga tubagi no lomporo. Ihotago.
EFCC baka e mutonda betele koto dibo. Watele won.
EFCC catch you, they do election mago kiri go welcome you. Nigeria of our dreams, so lies in our votes. Say no to vote buying, the eagle is watching. Say no to vote buying. This message is brought to you by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
And that's a wrap on today's Eagle. You can send an email to info@efcc.gov.ng and speak to our offices on 0809-3322644 and follow us on all our social media platforms at official EFCC for all matters relating to economic and financial crimes. If you see fraud happening, use the EFCC mobile app, the Eagle Eye, to report anything you see happening around you. You download the app, follow the steps and report fraud on the go. And you can also take pictures of corrupt practices and upload them. I am Aisha Muhammad, leaving you with this parting words that says, voting is not only our right, it's our power. And also, if you don't vote, you lose the right to complain. Let's all exercise our civic right by being patriotic citizens and doing the right thing. Goodbye. God bless Nigeria. Please do stay safe, be kind to yourself and to others around you, and do enjoy the rest of the week.